The Reverend Dr. William L. Johnson III, here with our morning meditation. Every week we try to offer these meditations, these words that we hope will inspire and encourage all of us as we make our journey through life. Sometimes life sometimes can give us some rough spills. We can find ourselves challenged with loads to carry that can be overwhelming. And every now and then it is good to have a moment just to get still, just to calm down, and just to allow for ourselves to reflect, be inspired, and be encouraged. And so we hope that after the end of this message that you will find yourself in just such a place, reinvigorated, regenerated, and encouraged and inspired. Now to our morning meditation. I want to talk with us for a moment about one thing at a time. One thing at a time. That's the morning meditation today. It's funny, I am from a different era than our current context, our contemporary context. When I was growing up, we were taught to think linearly. In other words, to go through a process, finish that step, move to the next step, finish that step, and somehow through all the steps, we will finally come out with the outcome we were looking for. It's amazing now in a postmodern era where everything comes at us really fast, that you can absorb information all at the same time. Sometimes for some of us, it's important to go back to our upbringing and where we started. I've learned that I can appreciate a lot of different things all at the same time. I can be on my phone. I can find myself texting. I can be in a conversation. I can talk to a friend. I can be working on things at my computer, engaging in a conversation on the telephone, all at the same time. But when I was growing up also, we would have these moments while we were learning how to be busy doing a lot of different things. The old folk used to say when we used to find ourselves at our aunts or our grandparents' home, whenever a storm came, and whenever we were finding ourselves in those moments, we were instructed to sit down and be still. Turn off the television, get off the telephone, sit still because God was doing God's business. I don't know about what that business was, and I don't always understand all those old sayings. But what I do know is that it reminded us to get still and remind us to take one thing at a time. In our lives, many of us find ourselves multitasking, doing many things, and doing them in so many ways that it's hard to track what's really important and what is not. And so every now and then, you have to go back, I think, to a moment where you say, let me try to take one thing at a time. Woke up this morning, one thing at a time. I talked to my family members or a friend, one thing at a time, because I'm convinced that whatever you give your undivided attention to, it makes that thing valuable. And when you value your relationships, and when you value your work, and when you value your engagements, and when you value the time to reflect, and even when you value the moments that you have to rest, if you take that one thing at a time, you will find that the other things that come sometimes come a little easier. We're not always in charge of how life comes at us. We do not get to measure what comes at us, when it comes, or how it comes. But we do know it's important to take one thing at a time. Over the weekend, I heard my mother give this wonderful story, and I want to share it with you because I think it was mighty. And I don't claim to know who the writer is or where it came from. All I know is my mom told me it was Mother's Day, and so here we are. We are sharing this message with you. She was talking about a gentleman who found himself having a certain practice every day. He did certain things in a certain order every day. Got up, uh, uh, got himself together, made up his bed, went to wash up, changed his clothes, went and made a cup of coffee, maybe a little something to eat, uh, got his Bible and went and sat in his big chair, took a moment to read, and then finally he would pray. But what he discovered is that every morning he had a cat that was wild as wild could be. And so he adjusted his schedule. The first thing he did after he got up, out of bed, and after he was able to make it up, and after he got himself dressed or got himself together, he would go get his cat that would go wild, put a little tie on the cat, and then tie the cat to a pole. Then he would take his cup of coffee or tea, get his Bible in hand, and go and sit down for a little while to read the Bible and to meditate and to pray. His son saw the habit and decided he would follow up with the same sort of practice. And so he did some of those things that his father did. But what he discovered is that when the cat would go wild, he tried to tie up the cat, but he didn't take time to organize himself, to get his cup of coffee, to pick up his Bible, to go sit down in a favorite chair and to read. And after a while, he started forgetting to read his Bible, forgetting to make his cup of coffee, forgetting to take time to sit down and pray. And the only thing he had left over was tying up the cat. Well, some of us are plagued with so many issues that all we're doing is tying up the cat. All we're doing is finding ourselves trying to put out one fire just to see another one come up, managing one crisis and then finding ourselves dealing with another, dealing with one issue. Maybe it's work, maybe it's your kids, maybe it's your spouse, maybe it's the community, maybe it's church, maybe it's your faith community, maybe it's stuff that's happening, maybe it's watching your favorite shows, maybe all the things that you have, and they are overwhelming us with so many things that it's important to take one thing at a time. Take the time, not just to tie up the cat, but to find ourselves doing the things that are most important to our lives. I want to share this message with you because maybe, just maybe, all of us are feeling overwhelmed. Many of us are finding ourselves throwing up our hands, wanting to do so many things, but never having the time to do them. And sometimes we have to get focused so we can determine which one thing we should do and which things we should not, when we should do it and where we should do it, or if we should even engage in it at all. These moments come when you take things one thing at a time. Thank you for allowing us to share this message. We hope that you feel inspired and encouraged. I don't know if you do just yet, but I do want to encourage you that when you do take that one thing at a time, you'll discover that it has meaning and vibrancy and vitality for your life. And you'll discover, instead of eating it all real fast, that the little morsels that you have, you'll find yourself refreshed and renewed each day and each moment at a time. Have a great one. Have a great day. Have a great week. And yes, indeed, have a great life. Take care. God bless.